What's going on? Welcome back. Ryan here. In this video, we are talking about limiting beliefs. Now, I know that I talked about how important trading psychology is, and limiting beliefs, I think, are one of the most important things that we need to talk about because in business, in life, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, everybody has their own unique makeup, right? You were born somewhere, you have a background, you have friends, and you have family, and you have the influences of the way you were brought up, right? You have the influences of the way that you've interacted with life. And what's so interesting is that everybody has some sort of limiting beliefs that they need to work through to change the paradigms in your mind so that then you can go from where you are, wherever that is, to where you want to be. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example because I want to be transparent to show you that even my experience, right, having a loving family and grandparents that instilled beliefs of saving and investing, and me trading now and investing now over 20 years, this is not something that comes easily, right? If we look at coaches, right, Tony Robbins and Dean Gracioso and Russell Brunson and some of the people out here coaching people, you'll see just how big an industry this is when we're talking about limiting beliefs and performance coaching and getting our mind right so that we can go out and do what we want to do, achieve the goals we want to achieve, right? So some of my limiting beliefs, right, was, when I was trading in the beginning and I had money and I had my account and I'm trading, right? I was very selfish, right? In the sense that I was only focused on me and my account and, thinking and getting into the mindset that I was only going to trade my own money, that I could do everything myself, right? It's very easy when you have success in trading and in business to fall into the mindset that you can do everything yourself, right? Your ego can get inflated, right? And you can then start to become overconfident, skewing away from good habits into old habits that might not be so good, right? And the reason why this connects to limiting beliefs is a lot of the times as we grow in business, in trading, and entrepreneurship, we're going to see that the things that we thought were true or the preconceived ideas that we had were actually not true, right? And one of my limiting beliefs, right, had to do with starting this business, right? I thought that my failures and some of the experiences I've gone through were actually preventing me from helping people, from teaching people, and this is simply not the case, right? Because the greatest teachers, the greatest influencers, the greatest people who work with destroying limiting beliefs and then rebuilding them into a place where we're confident to pursue the things that we want to pursue, this is just the most important thing, right? Because nobody is going to achieve anything in the world if you don't believe it to be true in your mind before you actually do it. And I know it's such a complicated and almost confusing thing, right? And it kind of taps into faith, right? Which is believing things that we don't see in the real world, in our own reality, right? So when you think about someone who goes from working a job, whatever that job may be, right? Trading hours for you're trading your time for money, and then you start to look at other people who are making massive amounts of money. It's very hard for people at different times in their life to be like, okay, well, I'm here. How do I then get there, right? And this all comes from destroying our limiting beliefs, right? Now, for me, when I met my mentor, Eric, right, he destroyed so many limiting beliefs that I had because of the way he framed the investment and the trading industry as a whole, right? When we look at hedge fund managers and some of the most successful traders in the world, right? Billionaires, right, who have amassed these fortunes for themselves and their clients, we think that somehow this is out of reach for us, right? The finance industry likes to tell people, well, you need to go to a four-year school, you need to get an MBA, you then need to go work at a hedge fund for 10 years before you can even try to enter this world. And that's simply not true, right? These are limiting beliefs that prevent people from even taking the first step, right? Think about people wanting to start businesses, right? You might have family or friends who are influencing you, right? They're telling you, oh, that'll never work, or you don't have the skills, or you're not smart enough. Whatever the external pressures are that are trying to influence you, we need to be very confident in keeping our stronghold to not let all of these outside influences determine our thinking and put these seeds of doubt and limiting beliefs in our mind, right? Because no matter who you are, right, you have some type of limiting belief. And if you've conquered that, man, I'm envious, because I've been doing this for quite some time, right? Being an entrepreneur, trading, investing, real estate, whatever the things that I'm doing. And this is something that I work on every day, right? Because in my mind, I'll have these little things come up where it's like a little limiting belief. And I constantly try to catch myself when I'm thinking or feeling a certain way that doesn't align with what I'm doing and what I want my reality to be. So these limiting beliefs are huge. I think that this is something that I could really talk about for a long time, right? This is something that I'm going to continue to talk about with new clients, new students, new people I work with, right? And this is something I'm constantly reflecting on myself, which is why I know it's so important to talk to you about it, because I know that when you start to self-reflect, when you start to think, hey, okay, I may think this way, but is that way of thinking actually true, right? Another limiting belief, right, when it comes to trading and finances is when I talk about options to people, or I hear people talking about options, people have all these limiting beliefs and these incorrect thinking patterns when it comes to options, right? Most people think options are really risky. They think that you can lose tons of money with options, which is true. It's not that it's not true, but it's that the thinking behind it is really not correct, right? Because options are just a tool, right? It's just a tool, and the tool is a system, right? And the system has rules and functions and the way that it operates, but it's not necessarily something that we can say, oh, options are just this or that, right? That would be, to me, a limiting belief, right? Because the option is just a tool that allows you to do something, and in the hands of someone very experienced, right, who has no limiting beliefs, options are an incredible instrument and people make lots of money, right? But in the hands of somebody novice or someone who has limiting beliefs, it's very easy for that person to make mistakes and kind of fall into that self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess you could say, that really doesn't need to happen if you first understand the options, understand the risk, right? Understand the system, the mechanics of it, and then we approach that system and the mechanics with the correct thinking and psychology, setting aside our limiting beliefs, right? So I really love talking about this stuff. I think about it every day. I think it's one of the most important things, right? Which is why people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to work with these top coaches on breaking down their limiting beliefs so that they can rise to the next level. Now, I'm not claiming to be a guru. I'm not claiming to know everything. I will be the first person to admit when I'm wrong, or if I've said something the wrong way, or maybe if someone thinks I've misrepresented anything. I'm all for accepting the mistakes that I make. And this kind of comes from my psychology as a poker player, right? When I was a poker player, I'll tell you a story, right? When I was a poker player, I was okay with going broke in any given hand that I played, purely because I wanted to have the experience of knowing whether or not my thinking in that situation was correct, right? So in poker, right, if I was playing a $500 buy-in, no limit cash game, in any given scenario, I was okay with losing $500 strictly because I wanted to understand my thinking, my processes, and sometimes I needed to pay that $500 to see the cards at the river, right? At Showdown, to validate my thinking and my process. The same thing can happen in trading and investing, right? Some people are okay with going broke in a specific trade to have the conviction or the failure or whatever it is that they're going through inside of themselves, dealing with that emotion, right? Whatever that limiting belief is, right? And this is something it's such a deep subject, right? Because human beings, we are emotional, we are complex. Trading and investing is complex, right? There's all of these variables, and I really have seen from firsthand experiences just how important dealing with these limiting beliefs are. So I hope you're having fun thinking about this stuff, talking about it. This is really important to me because I always like to hear the insights of people who have more experience, people who have less experience, because in this field of like psychology and limiting beliefs and in learning in general, I really don't think that there are bad questions, right? Because everybody is coming from a different place. Everybody is coming from a different experience or background or mental fortitude that they have built for themselves. And you just constantly see how the most successful people get around other successful people because they know that getting around people who think the right way, who have conquered those limiting beliefs, really gives you the opportunity to go to new levels that a lot of people, they're not there mentally yet, right? So I think when it comes to options trading and investing, we have to set aside all of these limiting beliefs and truly believe that anything is possible, right? I would not be here talking about this so passionately if I didn't believe it myself, right? Because in my trading journey, I know where I'm going, right? I have been doing this for enough time and I've had enough mentors and I've passed my Series 3 and my Series 30. I've put the time in. I've looked at the market. I've seen what the most successful traders and option traders are doing. And I know that it's possible for me, right? So if I know that it's possible for me and I'm on this journey doing it myself, then I know it's possible for you, right? So, going back to my own limiting belief, right? When I was first trading, right, I was very selfish. I was all about the money. And this is like the biggest pitfall that I see anybody fall into. And it's so easy to fall into with Instagram and Facebook and all of the instant gratification that the marketers and the traders are showing you, right? It's very easy to get sucked into the FOMO when you see people posting their results and all of this. And remember, not all results are true. Not all results are correct. Again, super important to understand this, not to fall into the FOMO of what people are showing you. But again, I would not be here telling this to you if I didn't 100% believe it for myself, right? It's super important to me to try to have full disclosure and transparency so that people actually understand, where I'm coming from, what my experiences are, why I think this way. Because when you start to tackle your own limiting beliefs and you start to rise above them, really the world becomes a place where anything is possible. And I totally believe that. I believe right now that there are people watching this, people out there who maybe haven't found me, but there are traders and people out there that are going to do things that we don't even think is possible, right? And the first step to getting there is to tackle these limiting beliefs, whatever they may be. It could be something as simple as you don't think it's possible to make an extra 5 or 10 grand a month, or you don't think it's possible for you and your situation to become a fund manager, right? You maybe don't think it's possible for you to get good enough at trading that people then want to give you their money to trade for them, right? There are so many different limiting beliefs and these patterns that we can fall into that if we become against ourselves, because that's what it really is, right? It's a thinking pattern. The limiting beliefs and that thinking pattern is basically us not being for us, right? Because if you let that limiting belief be the driving force of the decisions you make, how can you ever proceed forward with ideas and creativity when you're not really for yourself, right? And that stems from that limiting belief, whatever it may be. So I would love to hear from you about your limiting beliefs, what you think is holding you back, what maybe you found has been detrimental to your progress in business or entrepreneurship or trading or whatever it may be. I think it's really important that we share these things. And I'll share another thing, right? I've had so many limiting beliefs about creating this options course, right? Just think about how many people are out there in the world who are trading, right? All the people on Instagram that have their Discord channels and all the things they're doing. And it's very easy when you're first putting together an education business to compare ourselves to other people and their success, right? And by comparing ourselves, we then can fall into these limiting beliefs where we don't think what we have is good enough. And I have been totally a victim of this, right? And it's just so silly because when we step back and we actually look at this with a different perspective, we see that there are billions of people in the world. Everybody is different, and there is room for everybody to learn and to grow and to bring things to the table, right? Somebody might learn from my experiences and connect with what I have to say more than somebody else, right? And that could be true on the other side, right? Somebody might not connect with me, and that's okay, right? It's okay to be wherever you are on your learning curve, uh, and it's okay to be struggling with these things, right? Because believe me, everybody has struggled with these things. That's why it's so important to talk about them. That's why it's so important for me to step forward in confidence with what I'm doing, because it solidifies my thinking and overcoming, my uh, limiting beliefs, right? I would not have continued with the daily option or these ideas if I didn't truly believe that this was important and that I had something great to offer the world with my unique experience, my unique belief system, right? My mentors and my things that I've gone through. Because at the end of the day, remember, I told you I was selfish. I only wanted money. And we can see in the world the people who are the most successful are the people who solve problems, right? The people who solve massive problems, right? Jeff Bezos, right? Amazon. He is worth $200 billion because he's created something that helps millions, if not hundreds of millions and billions of people, right? Deliver products, have a place to do business, right? All of these people who are making massive amounts of money, they are solving people's problems, right? So it's kind of, making money is a byproduct of solving people's problems, which ties back into the trading. Because think about it. If you just learn this high level skill for yourself and you only keep it for yourself, right? For you to make money with your account, and that's all you're going to do is trade your own money and trade your own account, then you're really failing at using these high level skills to help a lot of people, right? Because if you learn how to trade, if you become successful at it, your goal should be not to just trade your own money. Your goal should be to educate people, bring ideas and influence to the market that will inspire people, and then furthermore, create a structure that then you can trade other people's money and actually help them be successful, right? Because believe me, there are people out there that have been through such difficult experiences and have such limiting beliefs that they might never even believe or try to pursue this. And I know that's hard to comprehend. Even myself, it's been an eye opener for me, uh, of just how important one person's influence can be in changing the course of somebody's life, right? Like if I didn't meet my mentor Eric and he didn't help me study and pass the Series 3 and the Series 30, I don't think that I would be here talking to you, rooting for you, instilling confidence and giving you this knowledge. Like I don't think I'd be here, right? And furthermore, think about this. I didn't learn about money managers or Series 3 or the professional side of this industry I had been trading almost 10 years before I learned these things. So I think back to some of the failures I had earlier in my life and my career, like for instance with poker. Imagine if I went on to win the World Series of Poker main event in Vegas, right? I won 10 million or 8 million or whatever it might have been. If that happened in my life, I don't think that I would be here with a Series 3 or a Series 30 with my daily option doing what I'm doing now, which in my opinion has way more value than me to just win that large sum of money, right? Because in the end of your life, and right, when we think about limiting beliefs and we think about life, uh, we're not taking money with us, right? When we go. So life is really about helping people, and these markets and options can just provide so much value for people when you frame it the right way, and when you show people all of the different options they have, right? And different ways that they can invest, and different ways that they can use these techniques that, and then in turn can then uh, help people reach their goals, right? Whatever it is that you want to do. Uh, but I feel like I'm starting to uh, blab on. Again, limiting beliefs are so important. I think about them every day. I really want to hear from you. Please reach out. Please share with me what you're struggling with, what you need help with. And if you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to reflect, I'm always here. I love hearing from you. And again, I hope you found this insight. I hope you found this important, right? I hope that me sharing this with you really shows you that people with experience, no matter where you are, these are things that are going to come up, and to really inspire you to reflect on yourself and to set big goals, right? We want to have massive goals, goals that are so big that we don't even think that they're possible. Those are the goals we want. I encourage you to set aside your limiting beliefs and to, believe in yourself, whatever it is that you want to do. Never stop believing in yourself, and always be your biggest fan. So, again, I hope you have enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video.